Well, alrighty then. Let's see here. The title today's show, All for Nothing. Mad Science Show is dead. So I'm just making this video to basically give everybody a heads up. I'm working my way off the internet. I'm throwing in the towel. It's all become pointless. Ain't nobody wanting to get together and work on nothing anymore. It's too frustrating. It's too financially devastating. I've spent many years trying to give this world something that they said they wanted, and went to build a dream team because I thought, okay, this would be a good thing we can do. We can get all the best people together, the best talents, pull our tools together, and pull our resources and our finances, and we can get projects done and get them out there for everybody. The only thing I got to give the world anymore is some good advice. You know, when it comes down to electricity, the biggest part of your electricity usage is obviously anything that's a resistive load. And with that said, heating and cooling are the two holy grails of basically giving the world what they claim they needed: clean, renewable, alternative, free energy. So with that, I put this device together that you're looking at if you're watching the video portion of it. Otherwise, you're just listening to me explain it. I put this little gizmo together here to show you a different way to use electricity. I may or may not finish this thing. I know it needs to be done, but over the last I don't know, couple years or so, I've lost motivation on this thing. My intentions was to basically build tools that would teach people how to do things. I got 3 websites that I maintain. I've tried to do things behind the scenes in order to generate funding to not just help my research, but to help other people's research. And in the process of that, shenanigans played out. I took a hell of a loss financially, mentally, physically, emotionally. And I got up this morning and I decided, I just don't feel like it. I just don't think it's beneficial to my sanity, my health, in order to go out there and just keep on trying to do this thing. My YouTube channel's obviously not what it's cracked up to be. I'm not a businessman, folks. I'm definitely not a businessman. I never tried to start a business. I tried to share some information with people. Along the way, I got distracted from what my initial mission was, because I started listening to people talk about different alternative energy devices and, have you checked into this one? Have you checked into that one? Nobody wanted to hear the ones that I was trying to tell them about. I showed them little anomalies and things that were going on with all these different devices and everything that if you take these pieces of the puzzle and you put them together, they start to fall into place, and you'll start to see what I'm talking about. Try to explain it into terminology that would make everybody happy. As far as those who claim themselves to be educated, it was nearly impossible, because they always had some sort of, this ain't possible because of that or whatever. And they never really focused in on what it was I was trying to show them. And, so with that said, I can't in my mind sit around and re-engineer something I know for a fact will work. I can't sit around and try to add all these other opinions and ideas into something that it should be ridiculously simple. So, I reached out and I tried to find the most brilliant people in the world, and it only took two people to destroy something that was being worked on behind the scenes for a long time. It only took two separate individuals to literally destroy something that would have been good for the world. And neither one of them believed that they did anything wrong. But the people that we could have had at the table today, the people that could have come together and pulled their resources today, they all left. They went their separate ways. Some of the best and most brilliant minds, the talent and artists and stuff, they went their separate ways. And that's sad, because this has gone for years. You want to go back and look at all the different years of podcasts that I've got up on there. Go back and listen to some of the people that come on there and talk. And do the math. How much did it cost me personally to pay for these websites all these years? Don't forget the internet as well. I used to have a DSL line before this other style of internet came in, and I was probably getting ready to upgrade to a fiber optic line. I spent a lot of money, a hell of a lot of money, and there's no return. Folks don't understand that stuff. You're giving ideas away for free. Like, I wasn't trying to sell this thing to you. I wasn't saying, hey, buy this. I wasn't even telling you, if you want to replicate it, replicate it. And when it comes down to doing any of the other projects on there, I was always hindered by, people's greed, how much they want for this, how much they want for that. Nobody wanted to come together with an idea in order to just make it happen, to see, is this really possible? And so I'm limited at my resources, and I've even been insulted by people who think that I can't do nothing without them. People that I considered to be my friends thought, oh, you can't do nothing without me. It's an old man with shaky hands. That kind of thing. So yeah, if you set out to take the wind out of my sails, you succeeded. Congratulations, you won. When I started this thing a long time ago, I set off on a mission to literally try to show people a better way of doing things that was going to benefit the world. And many people have benefited from the ideas that I shared, and they literally went on down the road and they replicated it and they put it out there and basically took credit for it and all that kind of stuff. I wasn't trying to patent anything. I wasn't trying to steal from anybody. Wasn't even trying to. There is a donate button on my dang website, and I've been meaning to take that down for the longest time. Nobody uses it anyway. I don't promote it. Got no freaking people paying me behind the scenes for this or that or anything. So the frustration that comes about is I'm sitting here trying to hold a sinking ship together, thinking, okay, maybe this is going to be the year that somebody's going to come together. We're all going to get this stuff done. We're going to take all of our technology and we're going to make this happen. We're going to take all of our combined knowledge and all of our combined talent and make this thing happen. There's a lot of cool alternative energy projects out there. The Bedini motor, that's pretty cool. There's some good stuff in that, Tesla coils. Yeah, there's some good stuff in that. There's tons and tons of them out there. But all of them have something wrong with them. Every last one of them have something wrong with them, and people just don't freaking get it. It's the combined set of all these pieces of the puzzle that come together and make the thing that you're trying to get. You know, you got guys like Keshi out there literally ripping people off. He got money out the freaking eyeball. I don't know how in the hell he's able to scam people in good conscience and tell them, sit around and tell them, you know, you gotta love your reactor, or he's the Messiah and all this kind of crap. I don't know how in the hell people fall for that stuff. What I'm trying to show you is physical mechanical science that literally works. It's already proven. It's not even rocket science, but it's the way that you put these things together, the pieces of the puzzle, where you're going to get the big picture over the deal. That right there is a 10 farad capacitor. That can hold a lot of power. There's one on this side and there's an identical one on that side over there. Two identical paraglider motors. Got two freaking motor controllers and servo testers. These things will run independently or they'll run in conjunction with each other. And there's some cool stuff that you can do with the things like back EMF, things that are happening in this deal. The way that flywheel's designed, the way that the magnets are orientated on there. So you got a really weak north, you got a strong south, a weak north, strong south, weak north, and it's on both sides. It's on each side of that. And then you've got already pre-made coils that you can buy right off the store shelf. You don't have to do any kind of modifications to it at all. You just got to find a way to mount it, which yeah, it looks like total crap now. You know, somebody I thought was my friend decided, you know, we had a mold made together, and it didn't work the way that it was planned. But either way, it at least got that far. Either way, precision's key in everything that you do. If things wobbling left to right, it's going to be, it's not going to be efficient. And so by bringing all these people together, these brilliant minds and talents together to the table and calling them the dream team and doing what you need to get it done to make these things happen, you can prove these and you can move right on to the next freaking project in line. Neodymium magnet accelerator around there. It's got some really cool stuff to it, but it's got some flaws because the expensive tubing, the way that it was bent, and how it had to come together, and the cabinet maker that made the legs for it or whatever. You know, it's not what it should be. In order to get somebody to vacuum form the parts for it, you're looking at a hell of a lot of money. You can't get people to pay. You can't get people to do things for you without paying them a lot of money. That neodymium magnet accelerator, along with this project right here, along with that project right back there in the background, which I don't know if I can even get the damn deal over there. In that system right there is not one single battery in that entire system. Not one single battery. And it will store energy. And with that said, you ain't got no lead acid battery going on. You ain't got no nickel metal hydride, no lithium ion. Did I say nickel cadmium? I can't remember. But either way, that thing right there I've tried to show people for a long time. I've tried to show them.
I'm kind of here.
Not one single battery in that entire system. It doesn't get hot. It doesn't. You can't run it. It's nearly indestructible. So this nifty gizmo right here show you a new way to run some electricity. That nifty gizmo over there will show you something even more cool about electricity. There's one right down here underneath all this junk. I call this my pile of neglect because I just ain't interested in doing it anymore. Teaching tool circuit. So you got 4 pieces of the puzzle so far. You look over the hill over there. There's a circuit back there. If I can get it. Not one single battery in that entire deal. It's kind of wobbly. Not one single battery. From there all the way down to there.
On that one, the tall blue thingies on those are those capacitors?
Yep.
And the capacitors act as a temporary battery.
Yep.
That's why they say when you unplug your modems or whatever to reset them, to wait for like 10 seconds to drain the capacitors.
Yep.
And they act as a temporary battery.
By the way, it's one little piece of the puzzle that if people take the time, and I got to go short that thing out, which let me see if I can rearrange something here so you can see what I'm talking about when I say I'm going to short something out.
It's looking like John.
All right, so that annoying wheeing sound right there, if I flip this switch right here, I can put some more juice to it. Can energize it. I only have to hit it intermittently. I don't have to constantly put power to it. I can shut that thing down and let it run itself out. And when I get tired of hearing that noise, I can just walk over here and I can short it out. Now, to show you that I absolutely did no damage to it, I did more damage to the screwdriver by putting weld marks in it. Did no damage at all to that circuit over there. But apparently, I don't know what I'm talking about. It's all sparks on that one. Let's do it one more time. absolutely no damage to that circuit. There you go. Nearly indestructible.
Couldn't you do like a light switch, ground it?
Well, I could, but I'm just trying to prove a point. Just trying to prove a point, man. People, they got lithium-ion batteries that literally catch fire.
Well, I was thinking more for production model anyway.
Oh yeah, but they got lithium-ion batteries that are really expensive, and they catch fire.
Yeah, well, a light switch wouldn't cost that much.
No. But anyway, my initial lab got destroyed. And so basically I'm cluttered up in this little room right here. And so my thought was, okay, let's put a program together. Let's start generating some funds. At the same time, clean up some trash and show people something cool. If you can solve heating, if you can solve cooling, you solved your energy problem altogether. You know, I call it junk electricity because you couldn't run your house on what I'm talking about. You can produce high voltage really easy.
Yeah, but if you're making more heat on that stuff, you could probably use the heat to heat like that room.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like right now, these computers, while they're running, the waste heat off these computers is raising the temperature in this room.
Yeah, I've heard of a couple guys just joking on that and proved that they could actually raise the temperature in the room by at least 10 degrees.
Yeah. So what I've been trying to show everybody is if you look at all this energy, every time you use any kind of energy whatsoever, you basically generate heat. And so they're doing it backwards. You got a transformer, man. The eddy currents and other things inside this, when you're running this transformer, will start to cause this thing to get hot. You're shoving too much power to it. It doesn't need nowhere near the amount of power that you're putting into it. You're shoving too much power. And eventually this core, this is a laminated iron core, eventually it will get freaking hot, and that heat will transfer over to this thin coating of enamel that's on this copper wire. And once that copper wire fails, then you get a big short. But there's something even more going to this thing that people aren't recognizing. The way that electricity is actually working, the way that electromagnetics and even permanent magnets for that matter, there's something going on inside there that doesn't match what the school book said. But it's literally pointless. It's literally pointless to try to point these things out to people. The way that these little ferrite cores work. You know,
Doesn't it low frequency radio waves too?
Huh?
Wouldn't it transfer off some low frequency radio waves?
Oh yeah, here's the thing. People keep talking about frequency all the time. And in the religious world, it drives me freaking bonkers when people talk about frequency. You know, it's just because you got a number of cycles, 60 cycles per second that's going on that gives you 60 hertz AC wave. And that's how many times per cycle that this thing is pulsing, you know, and it will literally create waves. You know, you get a waveform. When you look back there behind me, right back in there. Here, right in there. That's a DDS signal generator. It's set at a 60 hertz square wave. You can literally take that thing and you can tune it up to a higher hertz range, and after a certain point, it'll literally drop off, and now you're still producing that wave, but now you're in what you were talking about, like a radio wave. Even in a lower hertz range, you can get a radio wave on the AM band. So you could take one of these little radios right here, and you tune that right, you can get that sound right here on this little radio. This is like a little AM FM radio. I actually burnt one of these up because I put too much power out in the air and it literally fried the circuit out of this thing. Nonetheless, the electricity, depending on how fast you pulse it, how slow you pulse it, literally produces a radio wave. That pulse that's coming off of it. So it's all connected. And even the way that electricity is traveling down from one place to the next, it's all connected. If you want to get things to run cooler, you need to be able to get energy to move from one point to the next without all the resistance. The resistance is what actually causes the heat. It causes things to get hot and reach their thermal breakdown point and eventually fail. This generator right here, you can literally turn it way down, just like that signal generator. This is basically a mechanical version of that signal generator over there. They're doing the same thing, except for that one's doing it with transistors and, you know, circuitry. And so once you understand that, you can customize your generator to your specific needs. If you want this thing to produce nothing but high voltage, you can get it to produce nothing but high voltage. If you want it to create a lot of current, you can do that too. But I spent an incredible amount of time and money and effort trying to explain this kind of stuff to people, only to turn around and get kicked in the teeth. You go back and look at my old videos. I was younger, man. I was a young man here. Now I'm old. I ain't got the patience or the time to jack around. You know, health falling apart on me. Finances dropping down. World going to hell in a handbasket. I don't have the time or the patience anymore to sit around and try to hope that people are going to start, the light bulbs are going to come on in their head and they're going to understand what it is that I'm trying to say to them, what I'm trying to show them. Off of that neodymium magnet accelerator over there with a single wire, you can light up as many of these doggone ferrite cores as you want. That should show you something. It's enough to light up a doggone neon bulb. There's this one right here on the teaching tools circuit. It's got neon bulbs on every single one of them. I can light every single one of those up on a single wire system. That ought to tell you something. There's those folks out there that believe themselves to be super highly educated are blinded to their own their own brick walls that they've allowed themselves to be stuck in a box, and they're not willing to listen outside the box. And every time I try to bring a bunch of brilliant minds together, they just can't get past that. They just can't see past what the book says. Oh, you can't do this. I had a friend that was really good in math and everything. He came over when my oldest lab was in place, and I was showing him and I was telling him and explaining to him how this thing works. And he's like, well, that's not possible. You just try to oversimplify everything. And I'm telling him, I'm saying, man, you're looking at it. He said, well, that's not possible. You're going to have to, the math don't add up and all that. I said, you're looking at it. He eventually got pissed off and he left because he couldn't comprehend what it was that he was looking at. He couldn't understand what it was I was trying to show him. There's a guy out there named Gerard Morin that took a couple transformers, a 50 kVA transformer, a 25 kVA transformer, and he was doing something that was unconventional in electricity, and he was trying to show everybody something. And he believes that that electricity is actually radiation. His terminology didn't match the school book, so they didn't want to hear nothing that he had to say. Guys like Stan Myers that was telling everybody about running cars on hydrogen technology. You know, nobody wanted to hear what they had to say because they weren't college educated, doctrinated professors or whatever that had some sort of college degree. They didn't want to listen to them. Never mind that the thing actually worked. They couldn't explain how it worked. So when people got things like cavitation and was able to get more heat energy out than they were putting in, as far as the amount of energy, you know, when you want to talk about BTUs, British thermal units, when people were getting more energy out, there was always some reason why this isn't possible. Even if you're sitting there looking at it, it's just not possible. And I tried to find some sort of creative way to get people to understand what it is that I'm trying to show them. But in the process of that, shenanigans took place. People want to take advantage of people, and they don't want to stick to the plan, or they want to come in, they want to try to re-engineer to something that should be ridiculously simple. This isn't rocket science, but the way that it's put together can teach you something. You want to steal the idea? I've explained it in many videos. It's really ridiculously simple. You know, you got that flywheel that can overcome any kind of force from those magnets as it's going around, because it's building up speed before it gets around and just whips right on by it. So there's stored energy in the flywheel itself. The way that the magnets are orientated, it literally has its own waveform before it ever even starts because of the way that magnetic field is designed. Yeah, over Unity Research, if you want to talk, jump in there. It's just, I'm disgusted. You got people on freaking YouTube got 50, 60,000 or more subscribers, and they're monetized and all that crap. They're making money hand over fist, and their stuff is crap. No scientific validity to it. They're calling it free energy device, and it ain't no damn free energy device. It's a bunch of crap. I'm not sitting here telling you that this right here is a free energy device. I'm not sitting here telling you that the neodymium magnet accelerator is a free energy device. I'm not sitting here telling you that this storage bank behind me is a free energy device, or that the circuit on the other side is a free energy device. I'm not sitting here telling you that. What I'm telling you is you asked for clean, renewable, alternative energy. You needed storage capabilities. You need better batteries, lighter batteries. And so what you're looking at when you see that right there is the solution to the problem that you claim that you had. These are pieces of the puzzle. Each one of these deals right here are pieces of the puzzle, and there's more that can be added to it. I did that video series, Free Thinkers video, and I put a bunch of crap together and I showed everybody. I was getting wind power. I had one windmill turning this way. I had one windmill turning that way. I had one turning vertical. I had one turning horizontal, whichever. I had static electricity, negative ion generators, galvanic action, earth battery technology, wind, solar, all of it. And you put all of this stuff. I even had solar panels that were busted up, that were laying in the ground, that were still producing electricity. And the key to that whole entire thing, not excluding picking radio waves up out of there, and every bit of this energy was being funneled into a tank. And so that thing ran for 4 freaking years. Nobody even realized what the hell was going on for 4 freaking years. I'm saying hello to you out there over Unity Research. 4 freaking years that thing ran. And one guy decided he needed a piece of wire off that for a project, and took a piece of wire off that and shut it down. So now I had to just basically stop at that point, because the whole deal was to see how long could it actually run unattended, no maintenance, just let the thing sit there and do what it does. And I can't honestly tell somebody, oh yeah, it ran for 5 years. If 4 years into it, somebody pulls a wire off to use on one of their projects and throws the whole system out of freaking whack. So settle with the 4 years. If you go on YouTube, you look up a guy named Lid Motor. He makes these little tiny motors, and they're like really super efficient, run on in the millivolt, real amperage range, whatever. Just they're really impressive. Laser Saber out there, I think this what his name is. He did an atmospheric motor that has got a lot of torque to it. So with all that said, you got pieces of the puzzle in what they've done. You know that you can build a high voltage electric motor. It's really super simple to produce high voltage, you know. And the best thing about high voltage is you don't have all that resistance that you would have for currents. I'm trying to say hello down there. I guess they ain't hearing me. All right. I don't know if they can even, if you can hear me in the chat room, say hi, you know. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm telling I come on there and tell everybody I'm about to ready to drop out, and then suddenly people start dropping in. I don't get it. This website's been up here for quite a long time now. But what I'm trying to get at is all these get different guys. Russ Dries from RWG Research, he's an awesome guy, got lots of talent. Ryan Abrams from Abrams Lab. You got oh doggone it, what was it? Terry Woodruff? He does some really cool stuff, and you had Diadem from the old days, and I could just sit here for hours and list off names of talented people that used to be on YouTube that are no longer on there. They got discouraged. They got tired of all the shenanigans, and they got tired of basically giving away their ideas for nothing. People coming in trolling them or mouthing off and doing crazy stuff. And so you're about to lose another one. I'm done. You know, it's discouraging. These projects, you know, look, trying to look at that time warp. Duct tape and baling wire is what you're looking at there. That's how I'm communicating to everybody out there. Got a radio broadcaster over here, and on this side, I'm talking on Skype to whoever wants to join in on the show. Yeah, you're right. RWG, Russ from RWG, he's an amazing person. There's a whole bunch of good ones out there, and actually, we lost a couple good ones too. Unfortunately, we lost a lot of good ones. The alternative energy community, to their fault, you could, if you got Skype, you can jump on there and add Shaziz as your contact, and then I'll throw you up in the Skype room if you want. Somewhere on there should have been. Let me see if I can find it. Where you could. There was a link to be able to join in on Skype. I can't remember which doggone room I had on there. Somebody in there get him a contact deal on Skype. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll look for a new contact popping in there. All right. Hold on. Let me. I can do this. Give me a second. Hey, look at there. I'm on TV. Participants. All right. Well, we got at least one in there. Got at least one. Are you there yet? I added Brandon in there, so. What's your Skype name, and I'll send you a contact request. Brandon, is that you in the Shaziz chat?
That is me. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Yeah, I can hear you. The Over Unity researcher, that's you?
Yes, sir. That's me.
All right, cool. All right, because I was trying to figure out how to add them in there. Now we got you in here now. Anyway, how you doing?
So I'm hearing double voices. How do I stop that?
Oh, well, I don't know. You might have to turn your microphone down, or
Let me.
it's probably feeding back off of.
Oh, I know what it is. I know what it is. Okay, what about now?
Yeah, you sound fine to me.
Okay, what it was is I had the app going, and it basically was playing through the app what I was listening to in live.
Yeah.
See, how do I mute myself and reset? Oh my god, this is driving me nuts. Hold on one second. Let me just fix this.
Huh. Yeah, it's duct tape and baling wire, man. That's what we're dealing with. Anyway, while he tries to figure that out, so we lost a lot of good alternative energy researchers over the years, guys that were coming to the table and were ready to help.
Let me exit out and going back.
What do you say?
I'm gonna have to reset this.
And I can hear you fine. If you got a set of headphones, throw them on. That'll solve the problem. Anyway, like I was trying to say, over the years, we've lost a lot of good talent. Some shenanigans playing out in the world, which is unfortunate because all these things that I'm talking about over here could have already been done, and more, so much more. Governments of the world have wasted so much damn money. They wasted millions of dollars. Wasted millions of dollars. Billions of dollars. For what? What do we get for it? What do we get for all our tax money? I don't know, man. We got war, we got death, we got destruction. That's all we got. Actually did a video, this on the podcast right there was how bad does it have to get? Let me see something. I need to check and see if this thing's even. Actually did a video. Yeah, it's working. Well, you're back, I see.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I literally had to restart my phone. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
Yeah, so now there's no interference. So yeah, so who else is here? Just me, you, and just us, or what?
Yeah, just us and my other computer that picks up automatically and does what it does.
Okay, okay.
Holy. Okay.
Well, yeah, you were talking about I guess the title today for the show is what was it again, Shizzes?
All for nothing. Mad Science Show is dead.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty much how I felt at the couple of months back, and I kind of had to like put my energy research on hold as well. And that I'm trying to get back into it right now. But it's just like a lot of people aren't talking to each other. I don't have anybody to talk with about this energy stuff where I live. So y'all were the only people I was talking to at the time last year. So
Well, there's only so much that you can do. I've been at this for so many years trying to teach people something. I got something cool that I'm trying to share with everybody, but I don't seem to be communicating it properly or something. Anyway, I got to the point where I'm just so doggone discouraged that I'm ready to start gradually shutting this whole thing down and walking away, because I could save a lot of money if I wasn't doing this right now. I could save a lot of money and focus that in on doing something else with my life. But instead, I thought, okay, we're going to bring the dream team together. And with that, we'll be able to have all the people to share their talent and their resources, and we'll get projects done. This project here should have been done a long time ago, but like I said, I got discouraged. And then I put a project together to try to raise funds for everybody, not just my research, but I was willing to share whatever benefits we got from this project to help pay for everybody else's research as well. Share, I got tons of stuff that I try to give away to people that are working on things and they need some help or whatever. So like I said, I'm not trying to screw anybody over. I've never tried to screw nobody over. But I'm just one guy,
Right.
If the world is going to keep on burning itself down, it's kind of a waste of time to, get out there and, make things look nice. That project, the Bottle Caps for Mad Science, it was intended on not only generating revenue from trash, but actually helping to clean up the world at the same damn time. And it had other cool things with it as well in the energy sector.
Yeah, I remember you were talking about that back then, about it. Like, what was the idea of it being like a valuable currency, or how would you convert it into, like, I think you were talking about something about 3D printing at one point. Can do with it, or how does it work? I really never understood it too much, but I do want to understand.
This right here, this is a petroleum product. All right, it can be remolded into stuff, heated up and used for injection molding or 3D printing. You can put it through pyrolysis, and you can literally turn it back into the crud that it was before it was a bottle cap. You can use it for gasification, where you can literally run a generator with it. Those are just a few of the deals, but when we were going to put this into a coin token, basically have this pressed into a token, now it's got a little deal on there. That's our brands on there, but it now becomes a premium recyclable, and the size of the token means that they all be the exact same size. And so they'll fit down the barrel of an injection molding machine, or they'll fit down the nozzle of a 3D printing machine, custom designed, obviously. There's different ways that, they use an extruder that basically brings the string that they make the filament for 3D printing. But there's other ways that you can do it, kind of like a big hot glue gun. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
yeah. That's interesting.
The concept was to take all this trash and build prototypes to recycle everything that would have otherwise gone in the trash, including food waste. All these different industries out here that are constantly wasting stuff. If you went out and you actually did a per ton amount per year that one business would waste as far as different types of material, that material could be gotten for free because they got to pay to have it shipped off.
Right.
Used oil, used everything, and you can clean up used motor oil. You can bring it right back to just as good as it was when it came on the store shelf. And there's just so much. But this one,
I would like to say something. I would really hate to see you really, throw the towel in and give up on this quest we're on. I mean, this journey, whatever you want to call it. I mean, because it's really not your fault, man. I mean, you've done everything you possibly could to bring a lot of intelligent people together to get this stuff off the ground and get this information out to the public and people that are interested in it. But I know people aren't going to really play ball. They're not going to really be team players, and they're all in it for themselves. And it's sad that you find that out in the end. And I really hate that happened to you. But for like people like me, and I guess I don't know who else you're still working with, but I don't think we. I just think that one person who messed this whole thing up, shouldn't be the one here. You know, we should still be working together, is what I'm saying. I'm not going to give up, and you definitely give people a platform to come to. And I actually just recently found that out. I was looking at the website again, when you had made like the last 3 videos, I guess, on YouTube, and I didn't know that you can actually use your website to promote like yourself, or like have your own little web page to, probably advertise your own research,
Yeah,
and
that's
people
what the deal
there,
was. I said I'll give you a website. I'll give you a web page, and you have control over it. And we all come together. Everybody's got their own little piece there, and it's owned by the community. That kind of thing.
Yeah, that
It's,
stuff costs money, to buy your own domain and all that. Because I have a friend who actually does that here, does his own websites, and he pays for the LLC license to Google, whatever. I don't really get into networking or web design, but I know it's quite a bit of money to hold on to the site. But the
I
fact that you're offering that for free,
manage 3 websites, pay for high-speed internet, and obviously the computers, duct tape, and baling wire, electricity, and all that kind of crap. But I don't sit out there and tell everybody, please send me your money or anything like that. I don't want people to send me their damn money. I don't know why people can't understand that. Nobody uses the donate button anyway, because I don't promote it. But nonetheless, I want people to come together. If I got $5 in my pocket and you got $5 in your pocket, and we believe in the idea, we put our money in there together, and we share equally the damn deal. You know what I mean? Win or lose, we do it together. It's not like I'm sitting out here like Keshi. I can't stand and even say that guy's name. I told him off on Skype one time.
I've heard about them. I never really got into that research where they do like the nano coated copper coils and all that. I mean,
yeah, Mark Brash from Zero Fossil Fuels, awesome guy, another good talent.
yes. Okay, look, that guy. I want to say something. That guy, I have a lot of channels that I've backed up over time, and I actually just recently got in contact with that guy. I reached out with him. I sent him a comment a couple of weeks, like 2 weeks ago, I think, or 3 weeks ago, just wondering if he's even still around, And he replied that he's still around, and he sent me something. I think on, I think it was on Telegram or Skype or Face. It was Facebook, one of those. He sent me a chat thing. I haven't talked to him yet, but yeah, he had made a generator that I was very interested in back then. That it was a toroidal. It was a iron core toroidal core, just a ring, and basically he had coils wound on there with like 14 gauge wire, and they were all alternating windings, clockwise, counterclockwise, clockwise, all around. Basically, he had like a alternator car armature in the middle, in series with the generator coils, and he would drive it with a DC motor, and basically when he was short the generator coils, dead short, he wouldn't get any drag. That was amazing. And he only showed, that was like one of the last videos he ever made on his channel, like 6 years ago. And like after that, I mean, I hadn't seen them, but I saw the potential in that generator design. And I've actually been looking at a lot of other people, like Tin Man. This one guy, they used to call him Tin Man. Now they call him like inverted.
I like Tin Man.
Yeah, I've been watching them for years. And see, I've never been able to talk to these guys, but I've been watching all their work and their channels for years. And he had made a generator similar to zero point fuel, which was the LAG, the lens assisted generator.
Yeah.
And it's the same. It's like the same thing. It's like a lens assisted generator. He called it. Basically, it's sped up under load. It was like a Bedini. 2 of the coils were Bedini coils, and 2 of them were generators. And then he made like a second version, which he called Tesla something lens assisted, or Tesla lens force. I can't remember. It's been so long. But yeah, it was basically 3 Bedini coils and 3 generator coils. And when he shorted it, the generator coils, it sped up under load, amp draw went down. So like all these designs with that toroidal core, I've seen a lot of people's similar designs. Even the QEG is the same, but it has 4 coils and it's bigger. And you put capacitors in the output, tune it to resistance, and get more output. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff I've been studying with this about this. A lot of stuff I've been studying that I've been wanting to replicate too. I would like to come on more and talk about this.
Well, I think probably the biggest thing about my frustration is participation. You know, if people are willing to participate and, you know, not be like damn disruptive, then I might stick around for a minute. You know, but I'm getting so frustrated because I got 5 people in that chat room. There somehow or another it went up to 8 earlier, but there's 5 people in that chat room, 3 of which are me because I've got over here. I've got it on this one and on that one, and it's actually on that one underneath Skype, but that's so that I can see when I'm looking in any direction if somebody's trying to throw a comment in there. Plus we got people for people.ning.com over here. There's 4 people in that one of which is me. But you know, it's frustrating because you got all these people out there that have like YouTube channels and social media that they're like literally putting out bogus free energy devices, giving us all a bad name. Guys like Robert Murray Smith are awesome. All right, he does all kinds of stuff. And
he's actually done something. I've been watching his channel a lot, and he actually showed off a pretty interesting circuit that he's been messing a lot with generators, wind generators, and all kinds of stuff, water turbines and all that. And he did, you know how like a Wimshurst machine, right? The electrostatic generator.
yeah,
And we have that high potential energy with no current, but the struggle or the I guess the one of the things that's hard to do is take that energy and turn it into usable energy, you know, low voltage with high amperage. And he actually showed off a circuit, like an actual something very practical to use. If you make this circuit, it basically converts the high voltage down into low voltage with extreme high amperage, and
right
you can
there.
filter it through the cap. Nobody's really talked about that. And he also made a HHO generator. I was a member of his channel back then. He made a hydrogen generator using graphene plates instead of stainless steel, and it was way more efficient and it had way more output as well. And it's way more easier to make. You can make the whole thing out of with scissors if you want. You know, the plates. Imagine that. Way more efficient, way more output. You can cut your plates out with scissors instead of, you know, angle grinder and having to find really expensive stainless steel that's non-magnetic and everything as well. So I thought he has a lot of stuff, man. He has shown that can help everyone.
We can make our own custom fossil fuels, whatever you want to call them. You know, we can make our own custom hydrocarbons. We can do. We have every solution under the sun. I mean, let's go back to the simple for a second.
Yes, sir.
You got an internal combustion engine that everybody hollers about because of what they call carbon emissions. They're worried about carbon emissions, which is a big load of crap. But nonetheless, I told the people, I've been telling people for years that you could run a second car off the first car's exhaust. It finally took the Russians over at Garage 54 to prove it. They did it. They literally run just like I told them. They run the exhaust into a bubbler and then right down into the freaking intake, and they run the second car off of the first car's exhaust, and then they measured the exhaust on the other end, and it was cleaner than the exhaust from the deal.
Wow.
And I've been trying to tell people forever today, you got an internal combustion engine. If there was ever an example of over unity, you go look up the dang 350 Chevy small block. That sucker will generate enough heat that if you don't have the cooling systems on there, it will literally destroy itself. It'll generate so much damn heat that it will literally destroy itself. And if you can keep the oil from reaching its thermal breakdown point, and if you can keep the temperature of that engine down to only what that piston needs in order to get the combustion out of it. You'd have such an energy efficient machine because you could use the hot water from the engine itself to heat your entire house, the torque from the engine to generate enough electricity to run your entire house. You could make a generator that would literally recirculate the exhaust and reclaim that excess fuel that is burned up, that's not burned up in the combustion portion of it. So you want to talk about free energy? You've had it the whole entire time, you know.
And you can also make the engine. You can also get like your bottle caps for magnets, right? Mad Science, and you could, they make plastic. They turn plastic into diesel as well,
Yeah,
right? I mean, so you can use that to make your fuel to run the engine as well.
I showed everybody the what do they call it? Doggone, it's not pyrolysis. Well, it is pyrolysis, but fractal distillation temperatures at different temperatures with the same material, you get different types of fuels and oils out of it, and it's no different. You could get the pond scum out of the bottom of the pond, and that is the beginning stages of what they call crude oil. And if you understand how that actually is made in nature, it's heat, pressure, deprivation of oxygen, and it's mixed with all kinds of crap. That's why the stuff that comes out of the ground smells so bad, is because it's mixed with everything from sulfur to different minerals and all that kind of stuff. And the thing about it is the second most abundant liquid on the earth, and there's no way in hell that you could ever run out of it. And even if you did start to run low on it, which is physically impossible, because all the ocean water, all the river water, lake water, and all that mixing and churning and mixing with the leaves and the dead bugs and the dead people that are washing down into the cracks and crevices and being heated and pressurized and cooked all the way up to the point where it literally turns into the same black crud that we're fighting over in the Middle East over. It's not necessary because we can make the same stuff. And that it's petroleum product. These bottle caps are petroleum products. So we can re-engineer that back into the same crud that came up out of the ground. We could turn it into gasoline, diesel, and all that other whatever, And by understanding how the internal combustion engine is only 20 or 30% efficient, which means the majority of the fuel that you put into that dang engine goes out the exhaust pipe. We got a catalytic converter. And the catalytic converter's only job is to reburn waste exhaust off of that to clean up the emissions.
True.
So
we could actually be using. Yep.
Do you realize how much heat a catalytic converter will generate? You want to make an efficient heater. You want to make a super efficient heater. Get you a bunch of catalytic converters and run the exhaust out of your car and build you a heater box for that thing. And when you fire that thing up, it's going to generate enough heat to run you up out of that damn house. Because those things will hold heat for hours after you shut them off. People are running around stealing them for the precious metals.
Yeah, you can put thermolytic pads on it. You can probably run a steam engine. There's all kinds of ways to recycle the heat to make it into electrical energy or whatever kind of energy you need. Sand battery, I don't know.
There was a guy that was pushing hydrogen inside of them and generating heat from having the hydrogen interact with the materials inside that catalytic converter.
You can do differential heat as well.
Yeah, even going to the cavitation one where the guy built the drum that has all the holes in it, and it's creating, when you stir water up, you generate heat in that water. And so as long as the water's moving, it'll never freeze up. So that tells you you're generating heat in there. Well, if you spin that stuff up really good and you got all these cavities in this drum and there ain't nowhere for this to go, you create intentional water hammers that will literally start to generate a massive amount of heat all the way up to the point where it literally flashes into steam. And all he was doing was running that drum with an electric motor. How many people looked into that? Now you got steam power that you can literally run 120 volt electric motor, and all its only job is to spin this water around until it produces steam. You know, so I could go on for days like this. I have literally back and listen to the podcast. What I said 10, 15 years ago, I've been saying the whole entire time. It's not all these different guys. If you took John Bedini, John Searle, you took Tesla, and freaking even Einstein for that matter, doggone all these different alternative energy researchers from the modern day, with exception of Keshe. He's banned because he thinks he's the Messiah, but he's not. Anyway, you take all these guys, and every bit, there's something in every single one of them. They all do something cool, but they don't all work as efficient as they could if you literally took these pieces of the puzzle and oriented them in the right doggone configuration. This deal behind me, it has two brushless paraglider motors in there. These things will run at extreme RPMs. They don't need to, and they got a lot of torque. And the normal motor controller for it is like the size of a brick. Well, I'm running these motors off of these little tiny Chinese-made motor controllers and the little servo testers like that. And the batteries that I'm running them off of are literally this big. Got two of them. And so I can run one of them. Or I can run both of them at the same exact time. As this thing's spinning around, these magnets are oriented into a real simple configuration where on this side of the disc, it's all north fields. And on this side of the disc, it's all north fields. Where the change in polarity comes is from the back half of that north field from this side is now the weaker one for the field on this side. So you already have a wave already into that disc. You understand what I'm saying? Really super simple.
All of the entire magnetic, the magnets are all facing the same pole, or half of it is split. What was the orientation?
Hold on. Let me see if I can share screen. If I can get this to do this. Let me know if you see my screen. You got my screen?
Yeah, I can see it now.
All right. So I'm going to take right here and I'm going to draw a really simple deal. All right. So I'm going to undo. Make a magnet. And we're going to call the black side north and the red side south.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to copy this. Copy. And paste. So on this side of the deal right here, let's just go ahead and put this one down here. Rotate, flip vertical, paste. All right. So on that disk, copy, paste. Need this bigger. All right. Undo. Rotate. All right. All of these black ones, are north. North, right there, right? Got that?
That's pretty interesting.
All right. So on both sides of the disc, all of them are north. And so now when you got your south is on the opposite side, it's offset. So you see, if you had these, they were all equal with each other, you'd have a strong pulse, a strong pulse, a strong pulse. Now you got a strong pulse, a weak south, a strong north, a
Mhm.
weak south, a strong north, a weak south. So you're still getting a change in polarity. And what you're doing is you're literally making a waveform that's going like this. You got that?
Yeah, so the north peak is basically higher than the south.
Yeah. And so
You know what's interesting about that is that John Bedini's SSG motors, you know how they're all monopole North Pole motors, right? He called it the North Pole motor
yeah,
because and they were like I think they were spaced at a certain spacing on the wheel, on the bicycle wheel, but he had a vertical south. I mean a virtual south he called it, in between all the norths. And he says to use a non-ferrous wheel as well. People sometimes use steel, and that's not what you're supposed to do. You want to use an aluminum wheel so the souths will stick out as well. And he has it drawn too. He's drawn this for people, and he says this is how I see the SSG magnetic fields and stuff. So that's pretty much what that's doing, almost at least with the magnets. But that's interesting.
well, this
But
this
what's
one
the
here,
so what's the point of doing like a stronger field and a weaker field?
because it reduces
Your
that
design.
it reduces that
The
cogging it reduces that cogging effect that you get whenever, like, you got the metal
Right.
pole. Let's say, just use this color right here. All right, so this is my pickup. It's going to be picking up that field when it changes from north to south. Let me do something. All right, this is a north field. So when it passes that, it's going to pulse it, right? And then you need that change in polarity, but you don't need a strong change in polarity. This one's not trying, they're not trying to pull each other back, if you understand what I'm saying.
Right. Right.
This is able to go past smoothly without being pulled back. So it pulses as it's flying by. It pulses strong north side and a weaker south, just enough to change that polarity. It don't need to be right here. You see what I'm saying?
Right. It decreases the lens effect, less drag. Basically, it's less drag. So
Yeah, and you can
the
create.
magnetic effect is decreased.
By the way you orientate them, you can take these and you can literally make them adjustable. So if I wanted more power off of this south as it comes through, I can bring this thing in and out and adjust it. I can adjust this magnetic field wherever I want. I just got mine set stationary. I can't adjust them right now, but if I really wanted to get technical about it, I could actually adjust these things. I could
Well,
have
you
this.
could probably put like an iron core right back where you had it, in between the two norths, right on top of that, the weaker south, and then you can put another iron core on the opposite side on the south, right?
Yeah, that's
And
what we got.
basically,
That's what we got. Inside this generator, there's a replica on this other side, and it's only in a half moon horseshoe kind of thing. So like a half moon shape, and so you got all that time when that disc is turning around to build up momentum to come down and have more speed to pull through the coils themselves. You see what I'm saying? Instead of having the coils all the way surrounding it, where you think you're going to get more power, you reduce the amount of coils. You got 5 of them on this side, and you got 5 of them on that side. And so now when that thing kicks out of the last coil, it has all that time to build up momentum to come back around the other side, and gives it a little bit more boost, if you understand what I'm trying to show you here.
right. And that's why you have less input draw on your BLDC drivers driving the 3-phase motors, because there's not a lot of drag on this generator. It's a low drag generator, which
Yeah,
works. You know?
it's one of many deals that it was designed to do. I can take. I don't know if you can see my. Well, I better get my screen back up here. Took the share screen off. Use my pointer. Can you see my pointer moving around up there?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, so I can turn this motor off, completely off, and I can run it on just one motor alone. So I don't need two motors to run this. But what if you could take the back EMF off of this motor right there to literally assist the driving of that motor right there?
What is that, a super cap bank or back there in there?
Yeah, this is a 10 farad, not 10 microfarad. This is a 10 farad audio capacitor.
Yes, sir.
And so if I can take back EMF and I can store it in this bank right here and then shoot that power over to the other side to run this this controller here, and I don't need a whole lot of power to run that controller. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So I can get this thing to electrically assist each one of these motors will electrically assist each other. See what I'm saying, back and forth?
Yeah.
So not only can I speed it up and slow it down, I can go all the way down if I want to put my output at 0 hertz or all the way up into the megahertz range. The faster you get this going on, you can literally change from what would be what we know as our standard electricity to essentially a radio wave.
Yeah, RF, like you were talking about, like Gerard Moore.
But I'm not sitting there trying to claim that this is a free energy device. I'm not sitting there trying to tell everybody that it's over unity or 0 point. This is to teach you about what's happening with that electricity, and that if I can get this thing to do what I know it's capable of doing, these little motor controllers, they will not get hot. They will not fail. You'll be able to put juice back into these batteries. These have storage capabilities like you wouldn't believe. Like over the top of my shoulder back there where I showed you all those capacitors, you got storage capability. So it's got onboard storage system to where this thing is running is taking whatever would have been wasted otherwise and it's dumping it down into a bank and storing it for later. So as long as you don't have this, as long as you don't have your generator connected directly to any load, then it's not going to send that energy back into the same generator you're trying to pull power from, which means that that generator doesn't have to work hard. So all this thing has to do is spin. Yep. It don't have to work hard at all. I don't have to try to, when you put more lights onto it, you don't have to try to put more power to it in order to get it. That's why it's draining. These people that are building these electric generators that are trying to run an electric motor to generate power on the other side, they've got stages in between from the time they're pulling power from the battery till the time they're actually entering the motor, all the way up through to the time they're trying to pull power off of the generator. When you put that load on there, that power automatically wants to go right back into the same generator that you're trying to pull power off of, and it causes it to bog down. It creates a second magnetic field up inside there that acts like a brake on the armature and will slow it down.
A counter electromotive force.
Yeah, so
what you want to do, so like with that system that you have there, I guess to perfect it would be the timing and the relationship and the timing and the on and off times and the duty cycles between the motor and the alternator itself. Like Bedini, I've studied Bedini more than any other inventor, and Joseph Newman as well, and a little bit about Stanley Myers. I don't know a lot about other things, but if you go back to Bedini's 1984 free energy generator book, he had made a special commutator system where basically the motor powers on from the battery about 20% of the time or something like that. Then it turns off, and then it completely disconnects from the run battery, and then there's a flywheel in the middle. And then basically the generator turns on for like the rest of the 80% of the time and then shoots energy back into the primary battery, the run battery. And then that turns off and then turns on the motor for 20% of the time, just back and forth. But
yeah, you got a hybrid electric car It's got a gasoline engine in there. When the batteries get down to a certain level, it will shut the batteries off and it will start up the engine on the other one until it charges back up to the deal. There's no reasoning why you couldn't do that with the system like you're talking about as well. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Like the brake assisted generators you're talking about, or like the Tesla stuff.
Yeah, well, during Christmas time, when his kids brought over their hybrid electric and they got it stuck out in the mud, and I was able to get them. I was able to drive the same car that they got stuck in the mud right up out of the mud because I understand how the mechanics of the way that it's trying to get it in and out of there. Basically, you don't want to give it any gas. You just let the motor itself pull you up out of there. All right. Well, when the battery gets low from trying to drive it on the battery, the engine will automatically kick on and it will charge the battery back up. So you separated the generator from the load, if you understand what I'm saying there. If people could get that concept down, and you're never putting your generator under a direct load, all you're doing is you're storing up the power, and then you move that power completely away from the generator. The only job that generator has is to charge this bank up and move the bank out of the way, charge the next bank up, move it out of the way, and continue to do that so that you never have the energy, your load directly running off the generator. So there's no way for that energy to make a loop out through the light bulb, back through the light bulb, back into the generator and create a second magnetic field. So you got the energy coming out of the generator through the capacitor bank. The capacitor fully charged moves out of the way, the next one in line, and you're running your load off the one that's no longer connected to the generator.
Exactly. It's like the capacitor discharge capacitor dumping circuits, basically.
And so you can get the amperage back. You don't need the amperage at in the start. You need the voltage. The voltage is pressure. So you use the voltage pressure to pressurize the capacitor. And then once you move it out of the way, now you can use that doggone capacitor as a battery.
Right. It's true.
Or you can do like you just mentioned a second ago. You can dump the load into a larger tank and have that larger tank feeding down into the load. And so constantly you're getting these surges of power going into this tank, filling it up.
And there's even more advanced things that are being explored too, as far as like battery, the primary run times, like in the storage on the run battery and the primary battery. Like I've watched Rick Friedrich a lot, and I've watched pretty much all of his videos, the splitting the positive, and many other people that are doing this as well. Have you ever experimented with that?
Sorry, I got distracted here for a second.
Like, let's say we just have two batteries in parallel as the run battery, and they're 12 volts. Let's say they're 10 amp hour batteries, and you've got them in parallel. So you got a 20 amp hour, 12 volt battery made up of two in parallel, and you have that as your run battery. And then you have the charging battery. We're going to use the same two batteries, two 12 volts, 10 amp. But we're going to put them in series as a charging battery for 24 volts at 10 amps. So we got four batteries that are exactly the same on opposite sides, but one is 24 volt series and one is 12 volt 20 amp in parallel. So then you run a wire from the negative of the parallel bank to the negative of the series bank of the 24 volt. And then, usually, like if you have a capacitor that's 0 volts and you have a capacitor that's 12 volts that are exactly the same, and you connect them together in parallel, they'll even out, and each capacitor will have like 6 volts in them, right? It'll even out. But what a lot of people have been exploring is like splitting the positive and even splitting negative. But just for now, simplified for the positive, you can run like a light bulb in between the parallel and the series bank. You can run a motor in between there too. And basically you can run like, let's say, a Bedini motor, or run your motor for your generator system right there in between the positive off the voltage potential difference. And basically the 12-volt battery bank is still charging the 24 battery bank, and it's also powering your motor that's spinning a generator that has an extra output which you can power the whatever you're doing, like capacitor discharge or whatever. And basically you have more runtime energy by hooking batteries up that way. And this can be done with solar panels. It's just pretty neat experiment that I've been messing around with, and it makes your runtime power about 50% more efficient. And I think that's very, very, very interesting.
Electricity is just like water. It will always find its level. And once it finds its level, then it basically the battery's flat, aka dead. It's a dead battery once both sides of the plates equal out. And so all you have to do in order to ensure that it doesn't equal out is put something back into the system. You know, whether it be via solar or wind power, you know, just like the Free Thinkers video series that I did, it was to show people that I took a bunch of junk and I got it to keep the light on for a freaking 4 years. All right, off a bunch of junk.
Right.
Even batteries that were bone freaking dry. Tell me, could you store power? Could you store power in a battery that had absolutely no electrolyte in it? No battery acid whatsoever. It's bone dry. Could you store power in there?
Maybe to some capacity, because it needs electrolyte for the ions to pass from plate to plate, right?
Well,
Wouldn't that
take a look at this. Take 2 doggone plates and get you a freaking Van de Graaff generator and put some sort of dielectric in between there, such as plastic or paper or whatever.
Okay.
And now you got a capacitor. So believe it or not, the air in between a doggone 2 dead plates literally is a dielectric. It takes a certain amount of power to overcome that air in between the 2 plates in order to break it down, in order to leap across the other side to short itself out. So you can store static electricity in a freaking dead battery. You can charge up those plates.
That's pretty interesting too. I mean, it's even, I guess it would be more safer for high voltage, because if you had the electrolyte in there, you know, in some cases it'd be like an HHO bomb. It would explode if there was a voltage.
But if that sucker's bone dry, and you can still store a static charge on there because the plates are still in there, they're not making connection with each other. The atmosphere that's inside there is literally acting as the dielectric, so you have to get a lot of voltage in order to break down that. So that means that if you can keep those plates one side negatively charged higher than the other side, or positive charge or whichever, then that means you got the equivalence of a battery, a capacitor.
Right. That's interesting, man. I've tried that. I've never tried that.
I was trying to get people to understand what the hell it was they were looking at. You know, I had one windmill was spinning clockwise, the other one was spinning counterclockwise, and it's as simple as orienting blades. If I want the one to spin one direction and I want the one to spin the other direction, and you can guide that current in any direction that you want. You can literally manipulate the magnetic fields anywhere, any direction that you want. You know, all these people trying to do starship coils and all these fancy deals and all that stuff. You know, this right here will show you something about electromagnetism. It's pretty cool. You know, but either way, back to that first. I had negative ion generator. I had static electricity. I had thermal electricity. I had solar power, wind power, galvanic action from the dirt, basically an earth battery going on. I took all these different concepts, and their only purpose was to charge up this power bank that literally kept that light on for 4 years. And as this solar power is literally pulsing around there, you look in that video, there's this tall, 6 foot taller Tesla coil. You can literally hear that thing. If you take an AM radio, you can walk right past it and you can hear how far that pulse is actually coming out. Okay, every time that spark jumps across the gap, you'll hear it pulse. So all day long when the sun's out, it's tick, 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 tick. And then after the sun goes down, the batteries that are inside of that solar power fence charger will literally hold a charge until it runs completely down. By that time, the sun's already come up again and it's already back to charging the battery back up. So all night long, you walk past there with a radio and it's going tick, 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 tick. And you wouldn't want to go up there and put your hand on there because this bare copper tubing and you'd get the piss shocked out of you if you touched it. But it all sat out there for 4 freaking years without nobody interacting with it. And then it only took one jive turkey to decide he needed a piece of wire for jumping something across on a project that he had, borrowed the wire, and in process shut the system down. And so I couldn't honestly say, okay, look, this thing ran for 10 years because 4 years into it, it got shut down and I had to interact with it. So if I hadn't had to interact with it, we'd still be running it today. You see what I mean?
That'd be cool to get that back up and running. If if it was running for 4 years, I mean, the amount of power that you got for free of it. I mean, a lot of it was from external input, but still, it was a system that was self-sustaining way.
It's all external input. That's the whole thing. Tesla's wireless energy circuit, static electricity, atmospheric electricity, all of this stuff. We're surrounded by energy. Now, if you took advantage of just the mere fact I'm walking across the floor with my socks, right? And then when I get to the other side, I ground my feet on this metal plate that then in turn dumps that power down into a bank. I could use that static electricity. What could I do with it? I don't know. Voltage is pressure, and the more times you walk across there, the more power it's going to generate. You walk across there in the wintertime, walk across the carpet and reach out to grab a doorknob and you see a lightning bolt come off of your finger. How could you monopolize on that? Van de Graaff generator, Wimshurst generator. What if you had a generator instead of a wind turbine, you had the equivalence of a Wimshurst or a Van de Graaff up there? And as far as when it's raining outside, you take what the Lord Kelvin device did, and you're pulling static charges from all different directions. So I'm getting wind power, I'm getting solar power. The key was that at any given time, no matter what was going on in the environment, it would be dumping power down into there for one specific purpose alone, and that was to keep the light on.
Right.
And all day long, for 4 years, where as long as that Tesla coil was out there, it was constantly pulsing because during the daytime it'd charge up the battery. At night it would sit there and pulse over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Every time that spark went across the gap, and you can even adjust the frequency of it by shortening or spreading out the gap. So the closer the gap, the higher the frequency is going to go, because obviously it takes less time for it to jump across that gap if it's closer together. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, like the closer it is, the faster the discharge cycle is going to be, and the further apart you put them, it's gonna build up more of a high potential charge, and then, like you said, it takes a certain amount of energy to basically, like the battery you were talking about with no electrolyte, it takes a certain amount of voltage to get that going. So that's kind of like the same thing you're explaining there, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is like all these different generators and even internal combustion engines, you know where the weaknesses are. You know where the losses in the system are. Why not monopolize on those losses? See, I don't care about the current watts and amps, and that's why I got in a fight with Colpus, was because he couldn't understand the concept. I told him you don't need current watts and amps for what I'm doing. I want to argue the specifics, the technicalities of, well, you got to have this and that, and he got all pissed off and he went around and started a bunch of crap. And the next thing you know, the first dream team went down and we lost a whole lot of really good talent. But what I was trying to tell him that he wouldn't listen to was that if I'm only wanting to generate a voltage, I don't need the amperage, I don't need high current. I'm not trying to do that. You're not going to be able to measure this with your standard measuring equipment. There's probably some way that you could put a piece of aluminum foil out in the air and get a general idea how high the voltage is and all that kind of stuff. But it's insignificant, because all I wanted to do was to see what I could do with that high voltage. I could generate any of the noble gases into the fourth state of matter, being plasma. And light is heat, and heat is light, vice versa. So if I can see it, it's hot. All right. And so I'm generating heat. One of the main things that you have that eats your electric bill up is your heating. Heating and cooling is the two most inefficient portions of the entire spectrum of what it costs to use electricity. And so with that said, if I could generate a plasma reactor that had the capability to not only produce radiant energy, but produce light and at the same time produce heat, then I can take junk electricity, otherwise, back EMF off of a Bedini motor. That you look at the back EMF off the Bedini motor, if it's left unchecked, it'll burn your transistor out.
True.
If you take and put in a neon bulb, instead of it burning your transistor out, that energy is used up in that neon being generated into plasma. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. It like ionizes the gas in the neon bulb.
Yeah, so my whole deal was, I wasn't trying to screw anybody over. I wasn't trying to do anybody wrong. I was trying to get people to understand this neodymium magnet accelerator has, I think, a 7/8 or 5/8. It's a pretty good size ball. It's not quite an inch. I think it's 7/8. Anyway, I got one that's an inch in diameter. But either way, it's stuck inside that field. And if you want to understand how a magnetic field actually works, that's going to be the one to show you how a magnetic field works. If you look at the flux lines and you see them going out of even a permanent magnet and coming right back into it, it literally builds a toroid. The strongest amount of pressure in there is the reason why induction heating works, is because you put a piece of metal in between a coil of wire, and you'll literally get that metal red hot, because that's where the strength of that magnetic field is, right there in the dead center. So you can imagine that doggone neodymium magnet, it wants to get out of there. So it's going to keep on spinning around until it finds a way to get up out of there. What's happening when that magnet is spinning around? It's literally got a magnetic flux. It's freaking out and it's going around there. So how could I monopolize on that magnetic flux, that change in polarity, as this thing is spinning around at light speed inside there? You see what I mean?
There was a similar generator design that, I had seen it a couple of times when I was first researching, like Stanley Myers. Didn't know what it was, didn't understand it until like years later, going back to videos, and basically, when I had enough understanding of these motors already and these designs, like kind of blew my mind what he invented. And it was a toroidal core like yours. He had it was copper tubing, and it was just a ring of a copper tube with a RWG actually has or was it WRG or RWG? Yeah,
RWG.
Gus. Yeah, he had replicated. He's replicated a lot of Stanley Myers stuff very, very professionally.
Yeah,
and he has machine. He's a machinist. I don't even know him, but I've watched his stuff through the years.
he used to be on the Mad Science Show every once in a while. He'd bless us with his presence and come in here and talk to us about all kinds of stuff. He was a good guy. He had massive talent. So imagine if you could get a guy like that on a team to build something,
Right.
And maybe I don't have the proper terminology to say the way that people need to hear it in order to be able to understand what I'm trying to say. I try to put it in as simple as possible so that everybody can understand what's going on. But if I could get somebody to freaking humor me long enough And instead of trying to re-engineer everything, instead of trying to sit around and argue it and let egos go wild and everybody gets pissed off at each other and leaves, then we could have what everybody said they needed. This entire system by itself, like I said, there ain't no batteries in that entire system over there for the storage. I use capacitors, and then basically the capacitors are acting as batteries, and I can store a lot of power in there. I can use AC and DC capacitors in conjunction with each other because I know how they work and what their purpose are. The gray capacitors in the back over there, those are freaking run capacitors, start capacitors. They're made for, they don't like a lot of current. So they're, see that bank of gray ones? Those are start capacitors. Once the system starts up on a like electric motor, those are kicked out of the circuit because they don't like a lot of current. They're just used to give it that initial boost to get the motor going. Well, I'm using them because of that initial boost that I can literally take a little bit of power and dump it into those and then be able to turn it into through that bridge rectifier that will turn that AC wave into a DC wave and start charging up all these banks. So if you understand what each one of these capacitors' purpose is, and you understand a little bit of physics and what's going on with magnetic fields and how you want to control the frequency range that you're actually generating your power at, you can speed it up or slow it down. Do we have to have 50 hertz? Do we have to have 60 hertz? Can we go higher or lower, somewhere in between, to use less amount of power? Because none of these motors need as much power as we're shoving to them. That's why they're getting hot. Eventually, the thermal breakdown point will extend from the core of the motor into the bearings of the motor. And if it's not oiled or cooled down, then it will literally burn itself out and it'll fail. Everything has a thermal breakdown point. And so since we want to make heat so we can stay warm, and right now our best way to do the heat is something like, what is this doggone, you got tungsten wire, and this is nickel, oh damn it. Let me look on here. Nickel and chromium, nichrome.
Nichrome wire, yeah.
Yeah.
The stuff they use in heaters and.
Yeah, this is made to resist a current. So when you put a current to it, it'll get red hot. You can make all kinds of things for cutting, like through styrofoam or whatever, little heating elements out of it. But what if you could take this right here and you could hit the right frequency and you could vibrate this without putting a lot of current to it? All you're doing is going to vibrate the crap out of it until it turns into red hot. So now you don't have to put near as much current to it in order to get it as hot.
Exactly. You see, that's another thing too that's interesting. Like you've seen people take those the skillets, right? The electric induction cookers.
Yeah.
And you see people like wind a Tesla like pancake coil, and basically they'll light up like a roll of like halogen bulbs. I've seen that.
Yeah,
and
any of these doggone noble gases out there, like you see the fluorescent bulbs and the neon bulbs, you can hold them up into the right frequency range and they'll literally light up using you as the ground. You can get
talking about halogen bulbs, like 500-watt bulbs, incandescent.
Yeah. But either way, you can.
So let me ask you a question though. Like, if you have a skillet, like an electric skillet, like for induction cooking, is what I'm talking about, like a little RV induction cooker. It's like a single burner, like 1500-watt, 1200-watt skillet, small skillet cooker. Okay, it's made to where you use the induction pans. So like if you find a pancake coil out of speaker wire, like DC speaker wire, and basically on the output, you can light up tons of like resistive loads. And let's say if I can light up like 4,000 watts of halogen bulbs, 500 watts, like like what is it, like 8 of them. I don't know how many. I have a board that I made.
So I'd like to
And
see an experiment like that because that heat will travel just like electricity down a wire, just like water down a pipe. Heat will travel. So if you could heat that element up, that's how the doggone light bulb comes on. So yeah, that'd be a really cool experiment to see.
well, I have that. I've done that experiment. I have a friend of mine that I'll just tell you this. Can I ask you? I keep saying I don't know what your name is, and I've never known your name. I just call you Shaziz. You know, my name's Brandon, but I don't know what to call you.
Just
What do I
Shaz
call you?
fun.
Chaz? Okay, Shaz. I have a good friend of mine named John, and we were working together about a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit longer. And I've been trying to get my life together, and I need to get back to talking to him because I had some things going on. Actually, this is why I had to drop everything. But it's kind of a personal matter, so I don't want to talk much about that. But finally doing, I'm finally doing good. I got an RV. I got married. I had my daughter back in my life for a little while, and she went back to her mom's, and like so now I'm getting back to where I can kind of experiment and I'll have some me time in 2024. I want to come back full force and finally come out on YouTube because I have a YouTube channel I started and I was barely starting to post stuff and I've had to move 3 times since I stopped posting videos and it's been really hard to get into a stable situation where I can finally have a time to be on the bench and like replicate stuff and build stuff. But I've been studying for a very long time, you know, watching videos at least on what exactly I would like to build. But my friend John lent me a lot of stuff, and I went to Dallas to go pick it up, and I still have it. Everything is safe and everything. And he told me, "Look, man, I'm passing the baton on to you." And you know, we were long distance friends for about 3 years. And I even went to Thomas Bowie's house for a little while for about 2 months, and he funded the whole thing. And I came back with nothing, and Thomas Bowie stole a bunch of stuff, kept a bunch of stuff that I gave him, but he stole stuff from a friend of mine named Mark Johnson, 2 20 kilowatt generator heads, and basically there's a whole story about that. And I don't really, you know, Thomas Bowie is a fraud, and I hate to say that, but he is one of those guys. And I've always wanted to come out and speak about that because I'm the only one that was actually involved with that whole thing besides my friend John. But my friend John, man, he, you know, about a year and a half ago, lent me a bunch of motors. And I have a lot of Sky Collections motors. I have some devices that are from William Inky. I have some devices, one device that's from Quantum Magnetics. That was Mike from Quantum Magnetics, and he passed away in 2021. And I have a lot of other devices that John had let me borrow for a long time, and I still have them. And I need to come back and finish the work I was going to do and show the evidence that this stuff is real over Unity. There's real over Unity in these devices. So that's what I'm barely getting back to now, and it just sucks that it's been taking this long. But I wanted to come out and show all this stuff, man. Your channel on somebody's channel. And that's why I was sad that you're going away because I really am about to start up while you're, you know, the whole thing with you is kind of, but I don't think we should do that yet. I mean, I really,
I just get frustrated with the whole entire situation because it cost me a hell of a lot to do what I do. And you
I
know, if if you want to work on some things, I'll put my foot on the brakes before I start shutting things down. You know, I just need people that literally want to work together. You know, put all the egos aside, put all the I know more than you kind of crap aside, and literally get things done. That's the only reason why I even do what I do. You know, because we get this if we get this out to the public, different things, and they understand how each one of these things work, they can take their minds and they can orient these into different configurations and probably even find a solution to any problem that we might have on there. This generator is a multi-purpose teaching tool, just like that one over there, the neodymium magnet accelerator, and the actual teaching tool circuit, which is right down there. You know, a single wire able to light up those deals. The storage bank over there, the circuit board on the other side, that little blinking light over there is no other purpose but to it wastes energy. It's a parasitic load. I put that in there intentionally so that when you do the math with a parasitic load connected to it, and then turn around after you get the math done with the parasitic load, okay, it's wasting energy right there. That's the weak spot in the system. What if I took that parasitic load out? Now, how's your math look? You see what I'm saying? If it's no longer wasting energy, if it was this much efficient with the parasitic load attached, imagine what it's going to be with the parasitic load unattached. So there is a method to my madness, but we do got to get up out of here. Maybe I'll stick around for a minute. You know, if you want to get on Mad Science next time around, and we could talk more about it, maybe I'll stick around for a minute.
There's one thing. What I'm going to be doing, Shaz, is I just want to say this. There's a lot of people that have built Bedini motors. Okay, right? A lot of people, hundreds. It's like the #1 most replicated energy device out there, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't get the same results that John Bedini was getting on the bench because they don't build it exactly the way he says to build it. And let me tell you, you've heard of the energy from the vacuum series, right? Everybody that does this.
Yeah.
And recently, I just want to let everybody know that's listening to this or who's going to listen to it. There is a channel on Norman Duncan on BitChute that I randomly found, and he literally has leaked all of the energy from the vacuum videos on that BitChute channel, and I downloaded them all, or I got them archived, and I've already watched. They had like 2 years ago, they already leaked like half of those videos on Internet Archive.
Let me tell you the secret to understanding what Bedini did, and I don't know how many people out there really realize. Look at that system.
Let me just say something. I would like to explain it because I have been studying Bedini for like 7 years now, and I have tons of devices I've built here. So the thing is, with the SG motor, is Bedini has already put the schematic out there for one, and all of the values of the resistors, exact transistor to use, the exact everything. Is all the math has been worked out for you. That's the beauty of it. But nobody ever builds the SG machine the way he says to build it.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like somebody will say, okay, well, I'm going to use this diode instead because that's what I have. I don't want to wait for that other part or to buy it. So I'm just going to use this, or I'm going to use that resistor or this potentiometer. You know what? I'm not going to use 130 winds. I'm not going to use 130 feet. I'm going to use 800 feet or less. That's why they get everything wrong, and then their amperage falls way up, and they're not getting the right amount of high voltage pulses they're supposed to be getting. So my what I'm trying to say shortly is I'm going to be replicating the SG. I just got to buy 3 more spools of wire, and it's going to be 7 spools of 20 gauge wire. Okay, and it's going to be a 23 gauge trigger wire. So it's 8 coils. And I'm gonna make exactly 100% the Bedini SSG motor, for good reason.
Yeah, that's cool. But we got to get up out of here, and I do want to hear what you have to say. But we got to get up out of here. Go watch my video. Bedini was right. I got a lot of people mouthing off in that comment section down there. I deleted some rude ones, but
That's it.
But either way, if you want to look past all the design and even the flaws in other people's design and look at one thing in particular, look at that doggone neon bulb that keeps the transistor from burning out.
Well, can I say one thing, Shaz, is that there's different modes of operations that people haven't been experimenting with. Everybody just experiments with just getting the straight output of the Bedini, the back EMF that people call it, and they put it to a battery that they negatively condition, and they charge it with a radiant charge, right? But now there's 2 or 3 other modes that people haven't explored, and one is generator mode. And the generator mode, and you have to put the motor in a traction mode, because everybody builds their Bedini motors with the north magnets facing out. But what you want to do is put the magnets all on the outside facing south, and you want to put another coil that's wound counterclockwise. And basically, the magnet, instead of getting repulsed away from the coil, it automatically gets sucked into the iron, charges it, turns on transistor, and basically the transistor will it'll attract the coil before it reaches it'll attract the magnet before it reaches the iron. Basically, it's all in attraction, and basically you get way less amp draw, and it works as a generator. And this is in video, I think 34, an energy from the vacuum series, and also video 33. There's 2 parts to each one, so that mode, and also what Bedini talks about is like this radiant energy. What a lot of people don't know about the SSG has to be converted back to real amperage, like you're saying. And the one way that everybody's familiar with is with the capacitor discharge circuit, and that also converts it back to a positive energy too. But the thing is, Bedini went way further than that. He built a circuit, and it's called the linear amplifier regulator. And that circuit converts the radiant energy into real usable positive, DC, straight DC energy, the same energy you're getting out of the battery that's powering the motor itself. And you can power incandescent bulbs to a certain degree, and you can charge batteries up to like 15, 16 volts. It'll push it up there, no problem. And the beauty of this is it doesn't put any strain, any drag on the Bedini motor as a generator as well. And this is what I'm going to be replicating. And I would like to show this on your channel to show everyone, like, look, this is how Bedini intended us to build this device. And this is why my battery is charging like this. And this is why I'm getting this output. I want to actually show this because I've been studying it. And I'm going to follow Bedini when building this device, to the T. And then I believe I will get the exact results that he did. And the thing about this is in generator mode, I just want to say this, in generator mode, when you put this device in generator mode, the high voltage radiant spikes are not going to the charge battery anymore. It's regular generator, basically voltage energy that's going into the charge battery. And basically the radiant spikes are they're back charging into the run battery. So basically your run battery slowly climbs up, and your charge battery will go up very, very, very fast. And Bedini has showed this on those energy from the vacuum videos, but a lot of people haven't seen these videos, man. A lot of people haven't seen them because they've been very hard to get, but not anymore. So I'm just letting you know. I'm gonna be.
I want to hear more, but we're over our time, and so I got to end this show. But this right here, you can make one of these real easy with 2 Hall effect sensors. You flip one upside down, and you can make it be able to tell which side your magnets are. And obviously, if you're right there in the dead center, this thing will teach you a lot. I made this years ago. It's still got the same battery that it had in it years ago, but it'll tell you your north and your south on there.
Nice.
This magnet's a little too strong. But it's got the same battery in there it had years ago. Anyway, the reason why I showed you that is because mechanically there's something going on there. You can use different parts for different things, and that's why I was interested in Bedini and all that. We really got to get up out of here, though. But either way, talking to you today, I'm not as frustrated as I was when I got here, and so I might stick around for a minute. But I just want everybody out there to know, I'm about tired of all the shenanigans. I put a hell of a lot to this. If you want to use this platform, and it don't go to waste. Otherwise, I'm just spending the money for nothing. I'm not trying to say, you pay me a membership fee or anything like that. This has been up here for free the whole entire time. You want to talk to me on Skype? It's really super simple. We just proved that. Brandon come in there. I didn't know who he was at first, and then once we finally got him up on there, he's on the show. He's talking live. That's how it works. Didn't cost nothing, you know. And so get in there and use that chat room. And I start seeing people in the doggone chat room and over there in people for people chat room. I might just stick around because that makes it worthwhile, because now we got people working together again. You know, I just don't have time for shenanigans or whatever. If you want to do a project together, I got resources and you got resources. We pull our resources, we make it happen. And Troy said that most electric motors can use as generators also. All electric motors can be used as generators. Some take modifications and some don't. You know, the alternator doesn't have any magnets in it, but you could put magnets in there. But you don't need magnets in an alternator because you have the field winding that literally is the magnet. And so that's how the alternator works. It's pretty impressive. There's a book out there called Secrets of the Alternator. You can literally take and get 120 volts AC out of an alternator, AC Delco alternator, just simply by taking the diodes out of the thing. You can turn it into an AC generator. It's got its own built-in.
And it's self-excited too, which is pretty cool, you know,
yeah.
The armature.
So there's a lot, but we got to get out of here. So with that said, you got any last words of wisdom before we get out of here that you want to throw some buddy, your website or whatever?
Yes, sir. My channel is actually on YouTube. Don't have a lot of subscribers or any comments of the work I've done on there. I'd like somebody to say something.
Send me a link to your YouTube channel. If I'm not subscribed, I will be subscribed.
Okay. It's Over Unity Research Channel. That's just what it's called. And words of wisdom, I would like to tell everyone, just, you know, we've got to work together like Shaz is saying, and we got to put our egos aside. 2024 is going to be, I really hope it's a good year, at least for the advancements of bringing alternative energy devices out. Everybody's got to stop with, you know, wanting to make money, wanting to do patents, you know, wanting to just, the name, the claim, the name, the fame, the claim, you know, we just got to work together to get the information out there, to get these devices out there. Let's materialize something, put it on the table, demonstrate it, and inspire people by looking at this, you know, like, wow, that's awesome. It's finally working, a real Bedini device, a real Stanley monitors, you know, because people have this technology working, but they choose to keep it to themselves. They think people are not worthy of it, you know, and I hate that people, you know, safeguard stuff like that and they keep it within their own little group, but I'm against that. I'm all about sharing everything.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't care if I make any money or not, because, you know, it's sad how many inventors have taken all this information to their grave. And they're just going to be another sad example of that, you know.
I'm about to walk out the door myself. You know, I'm frustrated.
Well, I won't let you, man. I'll keep you going, man. I promise.
Troy, you got anything? You got anything you want to throw in there before we leave? No?
I don't know if he has his on.
He's frustrated too. I want to get him some computer stuff that he needs. Anyway, I don't know. I asked him after we're off the show because I got to get going. But everyone has something to offer. That's what I was trying to get at. It doesn't matter whether you're super talented or wealthy or poor or whatever. Everybody has something to offer. Even if it's something to just get in the chat room and throw some comments in there, point out some good comments or whatever. Just do it over at peopleforpeople.ning.com. If you see something good coming across there, tell everybody about it. You know, get everybody noticing it. This is it's expensive for them to do what they do. It's expensive for me to do what I do. And all together, if we were all together working together and sharing our resources, we could be very successful. There's solutions for every single problem under the sun. And if we come together, we can get it resolved. Anyway, I'm going to give us a peace sign up out over here for the Rumble. And I'm going to stop this recording and place up out over there. And then I'll catch up with y'all later. You've been listening to the Mad Science Show. Peace and love, everybody.